Alright, back again. A couple of changes in the garage. I've got a lot of mess on the floor, I know that. I've just been working on getting some storage sorted out here in the garage. My big chop saw is going to go up there, and just all of my stuff, just the loose odds and ends that's not packed away that I use every now and again. You know, grinding and tapping and electrical wiring, and what have we got? Power supplies, caulking guns, flaring tools, large miscellaneous bolts, odd car parts that I've been finding. Just a whole box of rags down there. My ratchets, box of weird stuff that I've just got floating around. I just throw it in there as I get it, and then I'll go and scrap it. So I've got spools of stainless steel wire and strapping. This stuff's really good for making my own clamps, stainless steel clamps around the diff and stuff like that, brake lines. So it just sits in there. Miscellaneous bits of odds and ends that'll probably all end up in the bin one day. Check that out for an old tin. I'll put it up here so you can have a good look. That's Sydney Cove. Well, I think the screen's a bit... Yeah, it's not focusing, but anyway, there you go. That's an old tin from a while back. Old biscuit tin. The funny way they draw the koalas. And the trees. It's funny, the painters that came here from Europe first time didn't know how to paint our trees, so they painted them all really strange. So anyway, back to the real reason why we're in here. So I've half got the bus out. It's taken me a couple of hours this morning to wrangle it. It's pretty much falling apart on this side. There's nothing really holding it on there. As you know, I haven't been able to get into this corner here where it was, so I've only really worked on fixing that panel on and the front end. So the goal here is to get it outside today, and then work on fashioning some sort of bracketry for the rotisserie on this end, and obviously sweeping up the grinding dust that's been accumulating. And then I don't think I'll get it back in here today on the rotisserie, but you know, it's good to just get it out. Anyway, I'm hooked up on the little step at the edge of my garage, and the outside of this pallet lifter is just clipping the edge. So I'm just going to grab my trusty tool and see if I can get hurt. It shouldn't take too long. There we go. I think we're out. What a heavy moving. There we go, look, she's rolling by herself. Look at that. There's the remnants of my pattern for my VW emblem. I might put that up here somewhere. You like my old number plate? Apparently it came with the bus, I don't think so. So yeah, let's have a bit of a walk around. So there she blows. So this end's just totally kaput. All of this here I'll rebuild. Probably that whole panel I'll go all the way up, come across, start fresh. As you know, this has all been rebuilt here, so it's just waiting to be fixed up. A lot of rust in this side. This was the one that was up against the shed, and then it had a roof on it, and they'd piled up firewood. So they piled up firewood. You can actually see the line here where they had wood stacked, and then obviously the leaves were on top, and you can see the mildew. So it really took its toll on this side. It's gone, you know. What I do, I'm not sure. But this is really the first time I've seen it up on the bus itself. I want to try and keep the paint that's underneath here, so that's original paint. We'll see. What I'll probably do is, if you remember, on one of my other 290 odd videos I've got, I did a quick patch under here all the way along, but it's not final welded. But most guys would probably, or people would probably take that whole thing out. But I just took out the bits that I needed for now. Trying to keep this paint. I'm very choppy with things like this. Like, I'll probably say to myself one day, oh, you could paint this and make it really Mickey Mouse. But I've really got to try and stay true to this one, and just keep it how it sits, because that's why I really like this bus in the first place. I wouldn't have touched it otherwise. A lot of work. So there she is, finally out of the garage. That's a sight for sore eyes, I tell you. Although it makes me realise how much more work I've got. But little steps, hey. I mean, anyone who does this stuff, all you people watching out there, know that this is it's a labour of love, and there's a lot of work here. Anyone who's just new to this, so all of this frame under here, it's all been rebuilt. All of that floor is all handmade. All of this floor framework in here, these supports, I've tried to keep on some of the old stuff, but I don't know, I may take it out anyway. All of the bracketry here, it's all new, handmade. Under the skin, which isn't attached right now, that's all been handmade. All behind this bumper bar here, you've got a few layers of strengthening plates that sort of tie in the frame to the front of the bus. They're extremely important. That's the only barrage you have against other vehicles on this bus. There's essentially nothing for a full frontal impact to stop you getting hurt. And remember, that's where your knees are, so you really have to make sure this is exceptionally perfect. No rusting, no welding on bits of metal over rusty stuff here. You've really got to make sure it's perfect. And what I did is I actually used metal that was nearly twice as thick as factory, and I doubled up in most cases. So I've probably got about I don't know, 3 layers extra steel there compared to factory. And the framework underneath is twice as thick as well, so, and it's boxed. It's not a C-channel like factory, it's all totally boxed in. So it's thicker, it's wider, the walls are thicker, and there's a lot more steel there. I like that. These days cars go a lot faster around me, so crashes are a lot more intense. You know, the fun police on the internet can tell me whatever, that it shouldn't be like that, but that's just what I'm going to do, because you know, we've all seen car crashes. So as you can see, this side here, I'll grab my chair and we'll just go through what's been happening here. Actually, it's on the other side. So yeah. Oh, firstly, this whole front nose skin's all been hand fabricated. Starting with the sides, and then, none of this was here, so a lot of measuring and help from other people, which was greatly appreciated. All of this is hand manufactured. All of this panel underneath this one, that's all handmade. This has been handmade. All of this along here, the channel in here, all along here. And just remember, none of this is final just yet, so it's all been left unrolled. There's a couple of places I have just to stop it from falling off. All of the window frames, all hand beaten. All up in here, that's all handmade in there. It looks rusty right now, but that's the point. You know, that was new steel, and now it's got a bit of age look to it. Once you rub that off, you'll actually see where it's starting to get really good there. But all of that, all handmade. The top here, obviously it's all been done. None of this is final yet. It's pretty much just tacked in to hold it in place. These channels along the side. So yeah, it's all a bit of ticking and tacking just to put it together first off, and then we'll go from there. So down here, this is nowhere near finished yet. It was basically just to put the frame in there and try and tie the front end. So a lot more work's going to happen here now. A lot more work. I'll probably put a plate over that whole lot just to tie those two together. And yeah, as you can see up under here, all new framing, all new front end, all handmade. And so that brings you to the actual frame of underneath the bus. So this edge here, it runs all the way along as one solid piece of boxed section, and that will be capped. A little bit has to be trimmed here, I found, from the other side. And then the top hats, they look like an I-beam normally. This is actually boxed and it's galvanized, so that'll never rust away. These are, I forget what they call them, they're just like a buttress that comes out. That's all boxed section. And then you've got the start of the door sill there, which looks a bit wobbly now, but it's off. It's not held on that side, so it wants to sort of kick down. And then you've got the doors that I reskinned and made the frames on the inside. Unfortunately, I had to cut most of this whole one away purely because it was just bad all the way through. This one I managed to keep a majority of the door skin on, so you know, I will get a lot of this blue as I rub it off with my spit. You'll see that there is a nice blue under there, so be trying to bring some of that out here and then probably end up painting the bottom of these with the blue and then fading it into this rough stuff. That's the idea anyway. So you can see that as I ground the welds, you can see the layers of different paint. So the idea would be to get some paint stripper and come along here about that wide, tape it off, and then just come along here and start stripping off layers until I get back down to the original blue, and then colour match that blue down to here. So obviously do the body work that I need to, then fade it into the original blue, and then bring it up through the layers till I get to the rough stuff here. So you'll end up with a perfectly blue bottom, and then it'll start to look rough there. And I'll probably try and match that here. So you know, blue, and match it up to this section here somehow. Still a bit of work to be done in places. Obviously this was just put together so that I could get it back on the bus out of the way. I mean, these doors are actually tacked together right now. I've just tried to get a nice gap there and go from there. But she's got some lovely lines. Look at those lines, dead straight. And this panel, I mean, there's light poking through everywhere. I could probably just poke that out. Yeah, look at that. So it's pretty bad. What I do, I don't know. I think it'd probably be easier just to reskin this whole section. What I could probably do is come in here and cut away what I think is good. Keep that and just redo this whole thing. And then what I could use is this, actually, whatever's good here for patches, because it'll have a nice colour under it. Standing back, I think I may even just try and make that whole panel, because it's pretty bad up the top too. Not sure yet. That's the last of my troubles right now. Something that's really bad is up under here. This is all very, very scary behind here. There's essentially nothing there. None of that's attached to the bus. It's just loose. So this wasn't finished. I sort of welded myself into a corner when I was here, so I couldn't go any further, but still. It's pretty rough right now. But hopefully we can get there. And I was thinking about where I was going to attach the rotisserie, and my original idea was there. But Marcy Junebug pointed out that the horns at the back could have been a good spot. So we'll see what happens. And I don't want to take the frame plates off here, the spring plates, because I just know that those bolts will just fall apart. So I'm best just to leave that alone for now and focus on what I can do. And yeah, keep going forward. So she's pretty rough, but not as rough as what it was when I got it. Anyway, I'll bring you back.